Welcome to another episode of Purpose Today. I'm your host, Dr. April Dobson, and I'm very, very excited to have a special guest with us today, Carrie West. She's an award-winning author, an international bestseller, speaker, and the founder of the Life Rewrite System. You don't want to go anywhere. This is going to be an amazing episode. We are going to talk about elevate your leadership. Harness the power of purpose and mindset. And you might need to take an opportunity to rethink what you've experienced to ensure that you have the right mindset and you're able to have success in life and move forward. So you don't want to go anywhere. We're going to meet with very special guest, Carrie West, right after these special sponsorship messages.
Dreaming of writing a book, launching a podcast, or creating a digital course? Ready to finally align your career, creativity, and impact? The Purpose Aligned Life Premium Coaching Cohort is here to help you turn purpose into reality. You'll receive tailored services, a personalized one-on-one assessment, 10 weekly group sessions, and exclusive strategy session, all for your desired transformation.
And if you're interested in participating in the next cohort of the Purpose Aligned Life Premium Group Coaching Program, click the link that is in the comments on YouTube. Well, thank you all again for tuning in to this new episode of Purpose Today, and welcome to our very special guest, Carrie West. Carrie, welcome to Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson.
Thank you, April. It's wonderful to be here.
You're very welcome, and it's such a joy and such a delight to have you here as our special guest. So I know I talked a little bit about you and shared some background about you with our viewers, but I know that our viewers might want to know more about you personally and anything else that you would like to share. So can you share more insight about yourself with our viewers?
Whew. There's so many things you can share, isn't there? I truly have a miraculous life, but I didn't start out this way. I had a huge disadvantage as a child, and for the first 20 to 25 years of my life, it was hit or miss. I wasn't sure I was going to make it. I certainly didn't know I was going to make it to my 30s, and that's when I decided I needed to do something different with my life. So I got to work and I worked on changing the mindset, the beliefs, the attitudes that I had about life, and really shifting that inner voice that said, you're not valued or worth anything. So I did a lot of work on that. And now I've written 2 books. I've got 2 more coming out this year. It's been amazing.
That is awesome. Congratulations on all the work that you've done, and congratulations on the books that you've authored and released and your new releases that are upcoming.
Yes.
Now, you said something, Carrie, that I want us to take a moment to unpack a little bit. You know, you said that there were some challenges that you experienced in your childhood, some challenges you experienced, earlier in life, and you had to actually make the intent of actually working on yourself, doing the work, developing yourself, and you really turn things around just by making the decision and then taking the actions. What would you say to people who may be experiencing a situation that they're not sure if they're going to make it? They're not happy with what they're experiencing. They may feel that they don't have any control. What would you say to them? What would you tell them?
Well, the first thing is I'd ask them, are they prepared to go on the journey? Because it's not an easy one. And I want everybody to know if somebody promises you a magic bullet, run away. There's so many schemes out there that say take this pill and you'll lose 40 pounds in a month, or they show you um, exercises that in 28 days you'll go from 200 pounds to 120 pounds, and there's even people out there that say, if you take my program, you will have better financial freedom. Well, what's the program? What are they really telling you? Yes, you can approach your budgeting and your financials in a new way. Absolutely. But if you are in a place where you're not sure your business is going to succeed, if you're one client away from having to close your business doors, or if your relationships are struggling, or you're just generally not feeling happy in your life, the question I always have for people is, are you prepared to do the work to change that? Because if they are, I can just about guarantee you your life will change if you do the work that I've been promoting. But it does require effort. It does require effort. And you know how sometimes people say, "What's the investment in that program?" And they think it's a dollar amount. And the investment of $997 you will get. I say the investment is your time and commitment. And yes, there is a fee involved, but more important is your time and commitment. Because there isn't anything I can do that will give you that aspect of what's needed. Don't you agree?
I agree. I agree. The time and the commitment is the greatest investment, and they have to be willing to do the work.
Yes.
So I think in talking about the investments that we need to make in ourselves, the time that we need to take to develop, to grow, and oftentimes we need to unlearn things that we've learned. It's all about having the right mindset. And, I know that it's so important for us to make the investments with time, to make the commitment that we are going to do the work. And, I want us to talk about work, the effort, the mindset, and purpose. Because I believe that we can know our purpose, but not be willing to do the work that our purpose requires. We can be willing to do some work, right? But not have the right mindset that we need to do all the work and have the commitment. So I think all of these things, right? Our purpose, our mindset, having the commitment to do the work, they can very much so be related. So from your perspective, how does mindset and purpose and just the commitment to actually do the work that's required to have a transformation, to fulfill purpose, what is your thought process?
Oh, now you're talking my jam, man. A lot of us have, a lot of you listening have a tape loop going in your mind, and you don't even hear it anymore. But it's almost like this tape loop, and this was mine for the longest time. Yeah, right. That's not going to work for you. Yeah, right. That's baloney. Yeah, right. Not buying it. I called it my inner cynic. And what that voice really was it was a over my told me, how do you get beyond that? If you don't have that intrinsic belief in yourself, that loop goes on and on and on. That was the first system, the first belief I had to take apart. Now, you said something really important about learning. If we've learned these things, we can unlearn them. We can learn something new. And that's the tough part though, because people, when it comes time to really looking at that nugget that says, I don't deserve, or I'm not worthy, or I have to work my fingers to the bone, many times that's there to protect us. It's protecting us from vulnerability, putting ourselves out there, and saying to the world, here I am. Because then what if the world tells you you're worthless, you're a worthless piece of you know what, or you don't deserve? That validates that nugget that you're trying to take apart. So a lot of people think they want to go there, but then it gets too scary. They can't take the rejection again. They can't take that feeling of abandonment again. And I want everybody to know, I get it. I lived that. If I tell you my story, some people say, "Oh, that's a sad story." It is, but it's my story, and I overcame it. But it took effort. It took me willing to sit with the discomfort of that nugget telling me I was a worthless piece of you know what, and I'm still going to put myself out in the world. And you know what? The world never validated that. I started to get more information that contradicted that statement. I heard from more people saying, "Gosh, you really helped me change my life. You're amazing. You're incredible." So then I went, maybe that worthless piece of you know what was the wrong information. And that's why I know many of you out there carry this wrong information. And it impacts your purpose, it impacts your dreams, it impacts everything. And we need to challenge that because you know what? The world needs us more. The world needs you and your talents and your purpose more than ever. Drop the mic.
That's so good. It's so good. You said a lot of things, and what I want to focus on most is the last gem that you dropped about the world needing their talents, the world needing their purpose, the world needing them to show up. Really, you didn't say this, but this is what I took away as their authentic self, right? As their purpose aligned self, right? They have to show up that way. And I'm going to go back to something that you said. You started getting all of these people who were saying, thank you. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for showing me. And there are viewers who are watching. There are people who are waiting for them to fully align with purpose, to fully be their authentic selves, because that version of their selves is the person who people all over the world, people in their community, who they need to show up.
Yes.
But they have to first have the mindset that they are going to show up aligned with their purpose. Yeah. So my question for you, because you did the work, right?
Yes, I did.
Were there any books or any people who inspired you to getting rid of the wrong mindset and the wrong version of Carrie West and embracing and accepting the right version of you, the purpose aligned you, the one who loved you and who was happy to be you?
Well, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is when I realized in my mid-20s that I wasn't going to make it to 30, I went on the journey and I met with my church, I met with therapists, I met with psychiatrists. I fought everyone who wanted to label me as damaged goods that needed extensive psychiatric care because I had suicidal ideation. I thought, should I just write this off as a bad lifetime and start again? And so I went to all of it. And then I discovered personal development and growth. This was in the 1980s. So personal development and growth, the new age movement was taking pace. So living in California, I went to all of them. Agave, Concept Synergy, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Michael Beckwith. I mean, all the Course in Miracles, everything. So I had this pool of information. I read every book, I did every program, I went to every retreat, and I had this pool of information. And luckily, I had the finances to do it because one of the things my parents did give me was this sense of survival. So I worked at jobs I hated as long as they paid me some good money. I was very frugal, but I'd save all my money to try to heal myself. Then I got accepted at film school. And by the way, my undergraduate degree is in behavioral psychology, which I studied just to get me out of my house. It was the program I could do to move away and live on campus, which is what I wanted. So I had the behavioral psychology, all these other practices I'd been doing for 5 years. Then I go to film school I think I was 30 or 31. In the middle of working on a project, we're talking about the characters of the stories, the themes, the plots, and the endings. And I realized, oh my God, my life is a story. If I'm the protagonist, my parents and all these antagonists and foils. So every day they were working with the story they were telling. And maybe I can rewrite my story the same way we're rewriting this script. Now, that's when I discovered my origin story, which every main character has their origin story, right? When you walk into a movie theater, you don't see the full breadth of their life. You see this one slice.
Right.
So they quickly tell you why we are following this main character's story, why we need to be interested. They can do it in a sentence, they can do it in a scene. The really magical stories do it very quickly. Or you'll have something like the Marvel series where they actually do flashbacks and you see how they got into those stories.
Right.
But when I understood my origin story, I understood my parents and why they treated me so horribly. And you know what? I had compassion for them. I stopped hating them and blaming them because they had a pretty difficult beginning to life too. Doesn't mean they couldn't have done a better job with me. No. But I understood. And it's not like I rewrote it and threw it all out. I understood. And that understanding said, well, hold on a second. Maybe I was just a punching bag for them to release their pain. Again, not good, not right, but I realized that the information they gave me was faulty. And that gave me permission to really do the work I needed to do. But as far as books, that's why I wrote Life Rewrite, because that's an encapsulation of everything that I've acquired over my 40 years of doing this work. And I consolidated it into the one system that I know works. And I've taken people through it, and I know it works. The toughest part is looking at your origin story and where your parents were when you were born, because that gives you so much information about who you are today. I don't care if you're 10 or 110. Who you are today can be traced back to who you were in your family when you first arrived on the planet, when you first took your breath.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And you said a few key things that I want to highlight. You had the realization that just as you were in film school and you were able to rewrite, the storyline, we can go back and rewrite our storyline or view it from the right perspective. Everything is all about perspective and clarity. And when we look at a lens, right, having the right lens allows us to see a different viewpoint. And if we're able to frame things in the right way, have the right perspective, then we can see maybe how we saw something before wasn't the right vantage point. It wasn't the right perspective. And we can be so forgiving when we have the compassion to know that something wasn't directed to us, but it was maybe something that impacted us because of someone else's perspective and their experience.
Yes.
And it makes such a big difference in our lives. And I really appreciate you sharing that. And, and I know that we can look back at what our parents experienced, and that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. But I think if we look at the even bigger picture, that we were created by a creator who loves us, and that there's nothing wrong with us when we are created, and that we're created in the image and likeness of God, then what we experience really starts to take a different perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Because we have a better understanding of where we truly originated. So
yes.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for sharing that. I know that's going to help so many people who are watching, and I think this is a good pivot point for us to pivot and really talk about the services that you provide through CKW. So if you can share, some insight with viewers. I know you have a system that you've built that helps people through the 40 years of experience that you've learned and all these many people who you've helped. Can you just share more insight on the services that you provide through CKW and what a viewer would need to get started if they're interested in rewriting their life?
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I created the Life Rewrite system to be effective in many different ways. Some people like to work on their own, or at least like to get started on their own. So you can go to my website at carriecasey.com, and I just recently relaunched this so people can become a founding member at a very, very, very low rate. And you have access to all the videos and all the resources and all the information that I have that takes you through the 5 steps of the Life Rewrite system. You also get copies of my books, and I have 2 more coming out this year, and there's a whole lot of other benefits. You can also work with me one-on-one. So again, that information is at carriecasey.com. You just contact me and we can set that up. I also am doing, this is brand new. I think we just launched it on the website. I think we did. I have to check. Ugh. But if not, it will be there very soon. It's the 10-month immersive program. And I call it the Hidden Story Immersive because what we actually do is with in-person and virtual events, we go through these step by step that after these 10 months, if you're committed with time and intention, I guarantee you'll be a different person after those 10 months. And so afterward, we're doing a celebratory event in the UK, in the United Kingdom. That's optional. You don't have to do that one. But the 10-month program, I'm limiting that to only 10 people per cohort because I want you to feel safe with the people you're working with. But at the same time, we're building a support team because, and listen, all the work I've done, I still have my moments where something I, I get that email or that phone call or somebody cuts me off in traffic.
So, Carrie, I don't know if on your end, but on my end, there was a little bit of intermittent audio. I heard you say that sometimes, you receive something or you're cut off in traffic, or, there was a piece of that that on my end, the audio went out. So not sure if it did for viewers as well. But if you could kind of share that again, because I couldn't hear all of that. And I don't want viewers to miss this, because I think you were getting at that it's a continual work that we need to do. But just part of the audio went out.
Okay, I'll repeat it. In the 10-month immersive, I select a group of 10 people to work together because even the best of us, life is a journey, it is not a destination. And all the work I've done, I was saying that I sometimes will get that email or I'll get that call or I'll get cut off in traffic and I'm like, "Argh!" And one time I even said, I need to call my Carrie. Who is my Carrie? To get me out of that stuff going on in my head. So that's why I purposely handpick a group of 10 people that will work together and will be your support person. If you look, I can get through 98% of those things that come up in life. And by the way, in today's world, I think just this morning, it's only 10 o'clock my time here, but even just this morning, I probably had 5 situations that make you just go, oh my God. But they don't bother me like they did, 30 years ago. But every once in a while, one will get through, and so I need to have that person. If I can't get myself out of my tape loop, out of my head, I need to call that person who will say, you're okay, you're loved, it's just the world being crazy. So that's why I want to hand select this cohort for this immersive program because I am committed to everybody who comes in that program to having them reach the finish line with a life beyond their beliefs, a life they've only dreamt of. Your microphone isn't on.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that it's so important to have people in our close circle, people in our corner who can help to bring us back to who we truly are, help to bring us back to the right mindset, the right frame of thinking in those moments that we do along the journey veer away from, being aligned and veer away from the right mindset, who can just tell us, you're loved, you're cared for, you're appreciated. This is just, an anomaly that really doesn't reflect on you, right? Because really most people aren't thinking about people in a negative way. Most people have pure intentions and a pure heart. Most people are just so inundated and overwhelmed with what's going on in their life and in their world. And they can be a little bit, absent of, considerations of others. It doesn't make it acceptable. It's just, I think a lot of times as humans can think that someone has an ill intent, and they often don't. They're often just thinking about their own lives. So having someone who can help to redirect us can help us to think the right way. This is why it's so important who's in your corner and who's in your circle.
That's right. That's right.
So, I want to talk more about your two books, the books that you've already authored, and then a little bit we'll talk about the ones that are forthcoming. So, what can you tell viewers about your two books, and what's the best way that they can purchase your books for those who are interested in doing so?
Yes. My first book is Rewritten, Life Rewritten, and it's my journey. Each chapter starts with a story from my life, and then how that translated into the work that I was doing, and then a how-to section for each chapter of how you can apply what I'm talking about to your life. So rather than have workbooks and all this other stuff, I said, let's put it all in one book. People don't need to go and buy workbooks on top of everything else. So after I did the Life Rewritten, that's an overview of your whole life. But then I realized we have pockets in our life that need to be addressed. And what's the most important pocket today? Money! So I did Money Rewritten. Money affects everything. It affects our health, it affects our well-being, it affects our relationships, our careers, everything. So I'm now on this massive mission to change how we relate to money. So I do courses, and I'm just now doing another course on Money Rewritten, a deeper look, that just is blowing people away. So that's going to be available in the membership program as well for the Life Rewrite system. But Money Rewritten really gives you a whole different perspective about money. And I start off by sharing how money came to overtake our lives. Money doesn't even exist. Do you realize that money is a concept? And yet money has just taken over. So like I said, I'm on a mission to give people some relief in how they have in their relationship with money. Did you want me to go into my next two books, April?
Yes, please.
Okay. Next up is Health Rewritten, because we've been given a lot of false messages about health. And in the entertainment industry, you size truth. I talk about all that we've been given about health and dieting, and that leans in nicely to my fourth book, which is Age Rewritten. I can assure you that I am no longer in my 30s. And so when I look at age, it's just a number. It is really just a number. And so I really take apart the perception that because you're a certain age, that means you have to retire or you have to act a certain way. I think we've lost the ability to share the wisdom of people who have lived a long and happy life. April, I'm getting a message here about a recording error. Okay. So, age rewritten, I think, is vital. You know, our society is aging. We have more people over 50 years old than ever in the history of humankind. And this is worldwide. This is not just the US.
Right.
So, how do we address that? How do we respond to that? And there's also the message that, because I am a certain age, I should sit back and do nothing. Why? Humans are meant to be productive. We're meant to take action, have activity. And what better activity than to take people who've lived full, happy lives than to have them share the wisdoms that they've learned? I think a lot of us are better parents today than we were even with our own kids.
Absolutely.
So those are my next two books.
And they're amazing. I'm looking forward to the release. You said so many things, and there's one thing that I want to unpack that you were saying about age. And as long as we're living, we have purpose. And I truly believe that often people die when either their purpose is finished or they stop fulfilling purpose. And some of the time it's premature, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But as long as we are living, we have purpose.
Yes.
And just the value. I love how you mentioned that many of us are like better parents than what we were when we were raising our children.
Yeah.
I'm an empty nester and my son is 25 and I'm parenting in a different way. But I also have nieces and nephews, and I also have friends who have children. And so I don't just throw away all of that wisdom. It's wisdom that's still being exercised. Yes. And so I believe if we take the fundamentals of what you were saying and share the wisdom that we've gained in life with people who can really benefit from the value. That's what it's all about. Sharing our gifts, sharing our talents. You talked earlier about sharing talents, sharing our purpose with the world. And it really makes such a difference.
Yeah.
And we have so much technology now that we can share the wisdom. It can be spread worldwide, right? Yes. All of the wisdom from parents and grandparents. They could start a YouTube and you could have someone who's into technology partner with them on how to get the content out there, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is so good. So I encourage all of you who are viewing, go to Carrie's website, take the first steps that you need to take. This is going to help you. If you are committed to investing in yourself, committed to taking the time that it takes to build your life, committed to the time that it takes for the transformation, then visit her website, start the journey. She said it earlier, she has limited space. There's only 10 people who will be involved, but there are other opportunities that you can glean from the many books. You can glean from the other resources that are available to you. So, Carrie, if there's any advice that you would give for people who are viewing, who are already on the journey to be better aligned, what piece of advice would you give them?
Keep with it. Keep with it. We all have those days, and it seems like those days are more frequent nowadays. You can't read a headline without going, what's going on? And whatever side of the map you're on. I don't think anybody's having an easy go of it right now. Keep with it. Keep with it. I've been around long enough to know it does get better, and the journey always improves. Also, life isn't about perfection. Life is about how you respond when things come up. And I always say, take a deep breath. That email comes in, take a deep breath. you'd be surprised how much that pause helps. And then the other thing I'd say is congratulations. You're doing it. You're doing it.
That's good. That's good. So I really appreciate you sharing that. The encouragement to keep going and stay consistent. And then also just the reminder to appreciate their growth, to congratulate themselves, to celebrate the wins
Mm-hmm.
that they have. So that's so good. Is there anything else about yourself or about CKW services or either of your books that you would like to add?
They're for sale on Amazon. That's where everything is for sale these days. The if you want the books, get the one at book thing you can trust. But give me a call. I would love to talk to any of you. You can reach out to me on my website and set up a call. And I'm on a mission to help thousands of people realize that life can be happy. No matter what's going on in the world, we can all have a happy, purposeful life. And that I believe will really change everything.
That's good. You know, I wanna ask this, and I know it's not planned, but I wanna ask this question because I have everybody has to use approaches that works in their lives, right? So there's no cookie cutter, one size fits all. But there are, I believe, some principles that can be beneficial and that can be helpful. And just a little bit ago, you talked about, the headlines that we often see. So there's often negative news, not so great news. And I, I know that there's something about being informed, but I don't watch the news. I don't even really watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then I will maybe watch something on Netflix or Hulu or something. But oftentimes I don't watch TV. I'm usually more, I have a better use for my time for the majority of the time.
Right.
But is there advice or thoughts that you would give to viewers in how their approach, I don't want to say should be, but a recommendation on, helping to improve their journey? What is a recommended approach as it relates to media, TV, what they watch, the news? Any insight that you would like to share that could add value?
Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer in we create what we focus on. And so I've said to my clients who love to read the news, it's like, okay, all of them, CNN, Fox, all the feeds, everything. And the guy was saying, there's so much contradictory information depending on who you read and where you go, everything. And I said, whoa, take a deep breath. All this information is bogging you down. This is the problem with social media and the internet. There's too many places to go and get information, and oftentimes that doesn't match up. We don't have a news source that we can fully trust. I believe that. Get me in trouble if you guys don't like what I'm saying, that's fine. But I've been around a long time and I know when there are news sources you can trust. And I just don't see them anymore. So I might skim through headlines, but I find that even that can affect me. But here's what I said to this guy who was just so anxiety ridden. I said, I'm giving you a homework assignment. You want to read the headlines? That's fine. But I want you to find 3 positive stories every time you read the headlines. about a puppy that was adopted, about something cute that a kid did. I want you to find 3 positive stories every time. I don't care if you do this every hour on the hour. Every time you feel this pull to go and check out something on the internet, do it. But I also want you to find 3 positive stories to go along with everything else. 3 stories that make you feel good about the guy who ran into the burning building and saved his neighbor, about the dog that took 3 months to come home after he got lost. Something that makes your heart full. And he did it. And honestly, it shifted him. It just shifted him. Because we can focus on these crazy headlines that are going out there, or we can focus, if we focus on the good that's out there, and yes, I do believe there is good out there.
Yes, there is.
If you do that, you counterbalance the craziness, but more importantly, you really start to see the good side of the world instead of all this focusing on all the madness that's happening. So
I agree.
I focus on that too.
Thank you for that. That is wonderful advice. Finding 3 pieces of positive news. So I love that. I love it. And there's a lot of good in the world. And so we have to focus on the good.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Carrie. It has been such a joy. I really appreciate you coming and being our guest on Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. I know that there's so many wonderful insights that you've shared, and I hope that people who are viewing today, that they're taking notes, and they've been taking notes. And if there's any question that we didn't have an opportunity to respond to in the chat or orally as we were, discussing everything that we discussed today, I do encourage everyone to connect with Carrie. If you want to connect with her, her website is on the screen again there. And then, Carrie, I'm going to leave it with you for these final words. Any one final thing that you want to share as we close today?
Let's make this your best life. I really believe it's possible. And I believe in each and every one of you that are out there listening to this. Even if I've never met you or I'll never meet you, I just believe in the capacity for human beings and their when they are purpose. I truly do.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carrie, and thank you so much, those of you who are watching today's episode. Go out, as Carrie has said, and make it your best life. Thank you so very much, Carrie, for being our guest on Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. And for those of you who are watching, I encourage you to drop in the chat what has been inspiring for you, one nugget that you have gained on today's episode. And thank you again, Carrie, for being our special guest. I'll see you backstage. And for those of you who are watching, remain purposeful today and every day. And as Carrie has said, go out there and build your best life. And we invite you to tune in to another episode of Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. Have an amazing, purpose-filled weekend. And thank you again, Carrie.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dreaming of writing a book, launching a podcast, or creating a digital course? Ready to finally align your career, creativity, and impact? The Purpose Aligned Life Premium Coaching Cohort is here to help you turn purpose into reality. You'll receive tailored services, a personalized one-on-one assessment, 10 weekly group sessions, and exclusive strategy session, all for your desired transformation.